What the internet has done for us is built the biggest communication channel man has ever developed. If you think about it, it's TV, newspaper, radio, it's the printing press, it's the phone, all wrapped into one. And it gives access to more people to be able to communicate. I don't think this is a digital native thing. I think this is a human thing. It's our human condition for most of us to be social. So the motivation is absolutely here and does not go away. How it develops over time and the names of companies will change. The tools that we bring to the table to communicate online will change, but the need to communicate will never change. This is something we can at least rely on for a good amount of time until we all become non-social and hide somewhere or something. So with that, now the trick is how do we fit this human motivator of communication into how businesses operate? How much of this turns out to be something like call deflection or defense or some versus kind of a revenue model? How are you working that out?
I think it launched as brand defense. It started, the forums were out there, people were out there, and they were having their discussions.
I really like the term brand defense. I think that's a really good term. I think that the reality is that these conversations are happening. I mean, like you said when you kicked off, these conversations are happening, before we had the internet, in homes, but now they're very public. And I think the thing is you can pretend like they're not there or try to control them or harness them or shape them in a certain way. And I think that's really what we're trying to do. We've had forums on MySpace forever, and those forums are about anything under the sky. So the reason we're launching our help community is we want people to know they have a specific place to come in when they have questions about MySpace. How do I do X, Y, Z on MySpace? This is going to be a little space we have specific to them. And then as far as out there, on the Twitter land or wherever else, hey, we're just here to help. We want to help customers do things that they can. Sometimes they just want to use Twitter as a rant. I hate MySpace. Okay, that's fine, but is there something we can do to help turn that conversation back into something that's a little not quite so negative? So I think it's, any of us who work in customer care know we get the ugly side of the world, not always the nice side of the world. People don't always take time to email us and say, I love your product. So that's just trying to, I think, shape the conversation and brand defense or go on the offense a little bit more, I think is the position we try to take.
We actually took some examples. We went out there and we took what the customers were saying, and then we went out there and we spoke to them. And we took those examples and we showed them to the executive team and said, our customers are talking about us.
You did screenshots.
We did screenshots. And we showed the angry customer, the discussion, the resolution, and the happy customer. And that was so powerful to really show your team and your company that these conversations are happening and you can make an impact and a difference by going out and joining that discussion. You show an executive team that someone is out there saying bad things about your brand, and they will, and you'll get the really negative information, and they want to protect their brand. They want to change that view, and they want to change that conversation. You don't mind if someone says something bad about your brand if you can change their mind and then they say something great. That's a wonderful experience. That's a great thing for people to see. It's if you just leave it there with no change. That's the problem.
But I think the reality is, it used to be if people wanted to complain about a company, the only way they had to do it was to email or write a letter or call. And the reality is now they can do that anywhere, right? They can tweet about it, they can write blogs about it, they can write forums about it, and again, you can kind of pretend that it's not there, or if you show that you have the ability to change the course of that conversation, that's what's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I always preach for customer service people is if you've ever felt that you suffer from the Rodney Dangerfield effect, meaning you have no respect, this is your time, because you can now take control of that conversation and be seen as a key player at the executive table.
I can give you an example of why you can't afford not to do it. We had a rep who was exchanging a Roomba and talking to the customer on the phone, and the customer said, okay, so I'm exchanging this. What do I do with the one I have? Should I just throw it out? And the rep said, yes, sir, and just kept going on with the call. Well, he was the father of treehugger.com, a blogger who, young woman, very, very, she's had her green initiative, and it happened late on a Friday. So by Monday morning, it was everywhere about iRobot and being green and just telling them to throw it out. So your call center conversation, it used to be private. It's no longer private. It's no longer one-to-one. almost every agent needs to be trained with that example of why it's so important, especially if you can see, oh, this customer I'm talking to right now happens to be one of those that's very active on our forums, and isn't that, they're an influencer, so you know that you have to treat them a little bit more special, and they're brand advocate, so we want to take care of them. But I reached out to the customer, or to this treehugger.com, and I explained to her, I said, you know, first of all, let me apologize. We do have processes in place. Here's where they are. Here's the public FAQ. And I embraced her, and I told her a little more about our company. I said, first of all, like you, what part of our mission statement is to make the world a better place. And I said, we have Sea Glider working with the U.S. Navy, going in to detect how far that the oil spill is moving, especially during the hurricane season, by equipping with sensors to detect oxygen level. We were able to, determine where that's moving. So she understood what we were doing, and I said, we have a lot of green initiatives. I'd like to hear your opinion, and embraced her. So now that person who was posting a lot of negative threads completely turned it around, and that's taking a negative into it's an opportunity.
What I see is like an amazing level of human care, and care and feeding of our customers is the most important piece of brand building. So I think that what the difference is in terms of can you turn somebody around or not. What I find is sometimes people just want to scream and they want attention, so giving them attention quiets them. So you're right, Lisa, there may be some people we could never make happy, okay. You still say you're sorry, because what you do when you say you're sorry is maybe you can't turn that person, but you can turn, everybody else sees that you care, right? So that's brand endearment. And then sometimes when you just say I'm sorry and you reach out, people are so shocked. They're like, really? Is this a robot answering me? And it's like, no, it's a human being and I really care. How can I help you? Social is the most important thing that's happened to business since the assembly line.